My name's Evan Blackwood, 43, corporate strategist by trade, loyal to a fault by nature. For 15 years, I built a life with Cassandra, Cass, as I used to call her, an ambitious, magnetic woman with a laugh like music and a drive that rivaled my own. 2 years ago, she discovered the gym. Not just fitness, but obsession, and I, fool that I was, encouraged it, thought it was healthy. She said it helped her recenter, release stress. I didn't know the stress she meant was me. Then came Trent, the trainer, 30-something, abs like Greek marble, the personality of wet cardboard, unless you count the smirking arrogance he wore like cologne. She talked about him endlessly at first, in that casually dismissive way that's meant to disarm suspicion. He's gay. He flirts with everyone. It's just a joke. It wasn't. Part 2. Cracks in the mirror, I found out the way all great betrayals are revealed, by accident. I came home early from a canceled meeting. Her phone was on the kitchen island unlocked, playing a voice message. Trent's voice, low, breathy. Can't wait till Evan's gone next week. That mirror in your yoga room. I want to watch us again. Damn. Cass, you wore me out last time. Silence. Stillness. Then the world fractured. I didn't say anything at first. No confrontation. Just calm, deliberate silence. Why? Because I needed more than proof. I needed leverage. Part 3. The quiet war she didn't expect me to investigate. She thought I'd explode, leave, and she'd walk away with half of everything, the house, the savings, the business I built, but I hired Vanessa Quinn, a PI who specialized in high-net-worth divorces. She called herself a warrior for the quietly betrayed. Within 2 weeks, I had photos, videos, even texts backed up to a secure drive, Trent and Cass, in our home, in our bed, once, even with a third person. The evidence painted a portrait of not just infidelity, but reckless humiliation. And here's where things turned. Part 4. The hidden clause Cass forgot one small detail. When we first married, I insisted on a prenuptial agreement. Back then, she had nothing. She signed it without blinking. A throwaway clause buried on page 12 of that document became my salvation. In the event of infidelity confirmed by substantive evidence, the offending party forfeits claim to all assets, accrued post-marriage. She never read it, or forgot it. So when she finally told me her truth, that she'd fallen out of love, that we were better apart, and that she wanted a fair division of assets, I just smiled and slid a folder across the table. Part 5. The real trainer. Her expression changed as she sifted through the photographs. When she saw the texts, screenshots, printouts, timestamps, her face drained of all that smug superiority. She whispered, "You had me followed?" "No," I replied, calm as the ocean before a storm. "You trained yourself to be found." Then, I handed her a copy of the prenup. She flipped through it, scoffing, until she reached page 12. Her hands trembled. She read the clause once, then again. "This won't hold up." "It already has," I said. "It's ironclad. My attorney drafted it. You'll walk away with your clothes, your car, and your dignity. What's left of it?" She lunged across the table. "You bastard! You tricked me!" I leaned in. "No, Cass. You tricked yourself." Part 6. But here's the twist. That third person in the video, the one she brought into our home without ever realizing the consequences, it was Trent's fiancée, Maya. A woman he'd been stringing along for 2 years. She had no idea he was cheating with Cass until I shared the evidence with her. She cried on my front porch the night she learned the truth. And then she offered me something priceless. "I want to help you destroy them. I know things that'll make them wish they never met." Turns out Trent was skimming gym membership payments into a side business, a fraudulent one. And Cass helped launder the money through a wellness retreat business she started 6 months ago. With Maya's help, I handed over everything to the authorities. Cass lost her reputation, Trent lost his license. Both are under federal investigation. Epilogue. The Mirror Reverse people always ask if I regret it. If I'd go back and fight for her. The truth? I already did fight. I just fought smarter, not to save the marriage, but to save myself. And when I finally walked out of that courtroom free and whole, Maya stood waiting. She smiled. Not like Cass ever did. This one meant something, and maybe, just maybe, the mirror doesn't have to reflect pain forever. The end, or maybe the beginning. Maya Rivers was more than a scorned fiancée. She was sharp, analytical in a way that made her dangerous. A finance analyst by trade, with a gift for finding patterns where others saw chaos. The moment she realized Trent had used her not just emotionally but financially, something in her snapped. Not into pieces, but into place. Cass was just a symptom, she said over coffee one morning. Trent was the disease, and I intend to cure more than just myself. We grew close, not in the cliched, rebound kind of way, but in the slow, coiled tension of two people who understood ruin and what it meant to survive it. But survival breeds new questions, especially when money and revenge no longer drive. Chapter 2. The Lawyer with a Memory. About 6 weeks after the court's ruling, I got a call from Martin Hale, my lawyer. "You're not going to like this," he said. "Cass isn't done. She's filed an appeal." An appeal. Based on emotional duress, claiming I manipulated her into signing the prenup, that I exerted undue influence. She was playing the long game now, twisting the story to her benefit. But here's the catch. Martin remembered something from over a decade ago. "She recorded a video diary back then, for your anniversary. In it, she mentions the prenup, laughs, about how fair it was, how smart it made her feel to protect both your assets. If that video still existed, it was lethal." Chapter 3. The Hunt for Memory. The only problem? I didn't have it, but Cass. She kept everything backed up. Google Drive, Cloud Sync, even a clunky old external hard drive that sat forgotten in the back of her former art studio. It took a favor from Vanessa Quinn, the private investigator, to get in. Not illegally, just cleverly. A storage unit, still in her name, unpaid for 3 months. Legally claimable through auction. Vanessa bid. Vanessa won. Inside, canvases, torn journals, gym apparel, and an unmarked box of electronics. We found the hard drive. We found the video. She looked younger in it. Hopeful. Evan had the prenup idea. It's smart. Honestly, I feel secure. Like, we're not marrying for money. I'm proud of that. Time-stamped. Verified. Damning. Chapter 4. The countermove, we filed the video as evidence before her appeal hearing. Her new lawyer, a smug man named Rothwell, tried to argue it was inadmissible, taken out of context. But Martin Hale smiled, slow and surgical. "Would your client prefer the court see the rest of her video diaries?" Because we found more than one. Cass went pale in court. It was her tell. The appeal collapsed. The judge dismissed it with prejudice. Cass left the courthouse without a word. Just a glance over her shoulder, eyes hollowed out like someone drowning in a life they no longer recognized. Chapter 5. New Scars. New Skin. I didn't fall for Maya overnight. We danced around the edges of something real for months. She had her own grief, her own trust to rebuild. But we shared something rarer than attraction. Understanding. We had scars, but we didn't hide them. And one night, watching a thunderstorm from my new apartment's balcony, she said, "I don't want To fix you. I just want to walk beside you while you fix yourself. I kissed her. Not because I needed her, but because I wanted her. Epilogue. The last message. 6 months later, Cass sent me a message. No subject. Just a single line. Do you ever think about what we were? I stared at it, deleted it, and finally, moved on. Because the truth is, the strongest revenge isn't destruction, it's peace. The end. For now. It was Maya who got the letter. Plain white envelope. No return address. Left at her door. Inside, a single flash drive and a note in looping script. You think you know Trent. You don't. Watch this. Then decide if silence is still safety. No. Signature. No explanation. We watched it together. The video opened on a dimly lit hotel room. Trent was there, smiling, drink in hand, arm around a woman neither of us recognized. The camera shook slightly, like someone was filming in secret. Then, he said something that changed everything. She thinks I love her. But she's useful. And once I'm on the board, she'll be disposable. He wasn't talking about Cass. He was talking about Maya. Chapter 2. Beneath the surface. On the board? I asked. Maya looked like she'd seen a ghost. I never told you everything, she said, voice tight. My father was part of a private venture capital firm. Old money, very secretive. When I was engaged to Trent, he was trying to charm his way into those circles. She thought it was just social climbing. Turns out it was deeper, dirtier. Trent wasn't just a personal trainer. That was the persona. Behind it? He had a string of shell companies, most recently one called Vanguard Health Solutions, listed as a strategic wellness consultancy. But buried in its financials were odd payments, offshore transfers, fake clients, dormant LLCs, and then came the twist. Chapter 3. The man behind the curtain, the person funding Trent's company. Richard Vale, Cass's former employer, the same man who fired her under mysterious circumstances a year before her affair came to light. We started digging. Vanessa Quinn helped again, this time not as a PI, but as something closer to a covert ally. She had contacts in financial crime units, old favors she was cashing in, and what we uncovered? Trent was laundering money for Vale. Cass was the original funnel. When things started to crack, Trent seduced Maya to get access to a new network, her father's. He was playing a long con. The affair was just a distraction. Chapter 4. The Whistle. We took it to the FBI. At first, they were skeptical, until we showed them the video, the accounts, the paper trail Maya helped build. That's when the dam burst. Turns out Vale had been under quiet investigation for years, but nothing stuck. Maya's records, her access to private investment ledgers, family funds, correspondence, broke the case wide open. Warrants went out. Trent vanished. Cass was brought in for questioning. Chapter 5. The last run. The FBI believed Trent fled to the Caribbean under a false identity. Maya, however, wasn't convinced. He always said if the game got too hot, he had one last move. She remembered a name he used once, Elias Corin, something whispered during sleep, during a feverish night when he thought she wasn't listening. Vanessa traced the alias. A digital ghost. One used in crypto exchanges, short-lived real estate deals, even foreign passports. He wasn't just running, he was erasing himself. Epilogue. Ashes and Rebirth Cass was indicted, not for the affair, but for facilitating financial crime. The prenup didn't just protect my assets, it protected me from being dragged into that mess. Maya's father, once cold and skeptical, thanked me in his own quiet, awkward way. You helped my daughter come back to herself. That's more than most ever do. And Maya? She didn't want revenge anymore. She wanted to build something real, with scars, with honesty. We moved into a quiet house in the hills where the air smelled like eucalyptus and the silence didn't ache. But every so often, a letter arrives. No return address, no fingerprints, just a line. You never really knew me, but I still remember you. Signed E.K. And somewhere far from here, man watches and waits because ghosts don't die. They haunt. Prison wasn't new to Cass. Not in the literal sense. She'd never served time before, but she had studied it, watched documentaries, read memoirs, imagined it as a place of hard lessons and structure. She was wrong. Within days at Blackstone Correctional, Cass learned the truth. There's no structure here, whispered a cellmate named Ivy. There's just predators, and those they permit to breathe. Cass wasn't weak, but she was alone. Trent was gone. Her family had turned cold, and I had walked away, clean and untouchable. That gnawed at her. Not the bars, not the guards. Me, the man, she thought. She'd broken, now standing free while she counted days in steel-gray silence. Chapter 2. Favor and fire. She adapted fast. Too fast. Cass did what she always did. Observe, mimic, manipulate. She spotted the matriarchs, Delilah, who ran the kitchen, Marta, who controlled contraband, Tina, who whispered in guards' ears like smoke curling under locked doors. Cass played them like keys on a piano. She gave Delilah a way to smuggle tobacco using shampoo bottles, offered Marta a tip on how to launder money through prepaid commissary cards. And with Tina, she gave her gossip about Elias Corrin. He's not just a ghost, Cass murmured. He's a fire, and he's about to burn the wrong people. That name, it carried weight. Tina knew it, and she passed it along, up the food chain, to someone watching. Chapter 3. The visitor one foggy Thursday, a man came to visit Cass, dressed in gray, face forgettable. He didn't give a name, didn't need to. You know Elias, he said, calm and clean. I know you do. He abandoned you, but you're still useful. Cass raised a brow. Useful how? We want him found. And you want to get out. You help us catch the ghost, and maybe we open the door. She leaned in. And what if I want more than the door? What if I want to matter again? He didn't smile. Then make yourself matter. He slid a phone across the table. No number, no apps, just a single contact. Cinder. Chapter 4. Cinder's offer Cass hesitated for a week. Then, one sleepless night, she clicked, call. A woman answered, crisp voice, no greeting. If you're calling, you've made a choice. I want him, Cass whispered. Elias. Trent, I want him to pay. Then you'll do exactly what I say. Cass became an informant, but Cinder wanted more. She wanted Cass to rebuild herself, influence the right inmates, find contacts from Trent's shell companies, gather whispers from the network still loyal to him. It wasn't about survival anymore. It was about power. Chapter 5. The reunion, meanwhile. I got a message. Vanessa brought it to me. Burner number, encoded text. She's making moves, Cass. She's turning her cell into a throne. And she's coming for Trent, not to punish him, to replace him. Maya read it too. She's not the same person, Maya said. Prison didn't break her, it evolved her. We sat in silence, the fire between us low and flickering, because somewhere out there, Elias Corrin, Trent, was watching his empire crumble. and Cass, from a cage, was preparing to build something from the ashes. Epilogue. Queenmaker back at Blackstone. Cass sat beneath a broken window. The wind whispered. She had everything she needed now. Names, locations, passwords. Cinder sent her a final message. Ready for early release? Cass smiled and typed, No. I want out the real way. I want a story that sings. Make me disappear. Somewhere in South America, a man known only as Elias Corin watched a news clip, a prison riot. A dead inmate burned beyond recognition. Name, Cassandra Rivers. He smiled until he got the note slid under his hotel door. Plain card. No return address. Just 5 words. Did you miss your queen? Somewhere near Medellin, high in the mountains, Elias Corin stood before a cracked mirror. He didn't go by Trent anymore. Trent was weakness. Trent got sloppy. Elias? Elias was untouchable. Fake passport. Clean accounts. Paid off cops. A villa. Tucked so far into the jungle that drones wouldn't dare whisper overhead. And yet, the note. Did you miss your queen? It wasn't just the words. It was the handwriting. That graceful slant. Half threat, half kiss. Cass was alive, and worse, she knew exactly where to find him. Chapter 2. The Queen's Gambit. She wasn't supposed to survive the riot. The body they found was a decoy. Cass orchestrated the switch with help from a cartel-linked inmate who owed her a favor. She burned her past in a pyre of flesh and lies. Now she was someone else. New name, new face. Surgery handled by a corrupt. Prison medic who owed Cinder a debt no one dared call in. Cass didn't want revenge anymore. She wanted control. He built this empire on my back, she told Cinder. Now I'm going to steal it out from under him, bone by bone. Chapter 3. The cat and the cobra Elias began cleaning house. He called in old favors. Had 3 of his lieutenants vanished the next morning? One found dead in a vineyard, the others never found at all. He trusted no one, not even Lords, his closest bodyguard. But paranoia is a poison that doesn't just burn, it consumes. Each phone call became a question. Each shadow behind his villa gates felt like a signal. Until one night, while drinking by the pool, he found an envelope on his deck chair. Inside, a chess piece, the Black Queen. No note, no explanation, just a move. Chapter 4. The ties that I heard about the chess piece 2 days later. Vanessa Quinn sent me the photo, pulled from a leak within Cinder's network. Maya stood behind me, reading over my shoulder. She's toying with him, she murmured. No, I replied. She's showing him what's coming. Maya sipped her coffee, the silence stretching like wire between us. Do we warn him? Let him burn. And yet, I couldn't. Look away. Because I knew this game wasn't over. Cass didn't just want power, she wanted closure, and that meant dragging everyone into the final act. Even me. Chapter 5. Reunion. Elias took a private jet to Panama under the alias Sebastian Gray. He met with his last untouched ally, Luisa Narvaez, a logistics queen who once smuggled diamonds in art crates. She agreed to shelter him. One last safe house. One last shot at disappearing for good. But the second night there, as he walked into the kitchen for a drink, she was waiting. Cass, hair darker, scar above her brow, a silk robe stolen from Luisa's closet. Hello, darling, she said. Elias froze. You're supposed to be dead. I am, she said softly. And you're next. Chapter 6. Truth and ruin. He lunged. She shot him in the leg, sat him down, bleeding, gasping. This isn't revenge, Elias, she said, voice calm. This is reclamation. Everything you built? I've already taken it. Your accounts are frozen. Your network's mine. Your guards. Bought. You're not a king, she whispered. You're a relic. Then she leaned close and whispered, and when the world finds your body, I'll be in Rome, drinking red wine, wearing your watch. But she didn't kill him, not right away. Epilogue. The message weeks later, I got a package. No return address. Inside, a video. Elias, bound, bleeding, whispering, to the man she betrayed first. You were always the lucky one. You walked away. I never could. Then, static. Then, Cass's face. She smiled and said, checkmate. They called her Cinder because everything she touched either turned to ash or diamonds. Her real name? No one knew it. Interpol had files. MI6 had whispers. The CIA had scars. But no agency could pin her to a birthplace. No bank could trace her. Real fortune. What they did know was this. If you needed to disappear, re-emerge, and take back what was stolen, you didn't call Cinder. She found you, just like she found Cass, half dead in a Colombian infirmary, full of venom and vengeance. Chapter 2. The resurrection deal Cass was barely breathing when Cinder walked into that cell. She had nothing. No allies, no name, no face. Her enemies thought she was a corpse, but her eyes still burned. Why? Cass whispered. Why save me? Cinder knelt beside her and smiled like a chess master about to sacrifice a knight. Because women like you don't die, she murmured. They evolve. And because I need a queen for what's coming. Cass blinked. Coming? A storm, Cinder said. And every empire needs to fall before the new order rises. Chapter 3. The Deal with the Devil. The agreement was simple. Cass would get a new identity, assets, surgical reconstruction, and a network of silent operatives loyal only to Cinder. In return, Cass would become her agent in the Triad Protocol, a quiet war Cinder was waging across Europe and South America, a war of shadow banks, cyber sabotage, and dismantling powerful men from the inside out. Elias had just been the test run. You get revenge, Cinder said. I get the blueprint. But betray me? She added, handing Cass a golden coin with a phoenix etched on it. And I'll erase you from history, again. Cass never blinked. She took the coin and smiled. Chapter 4. Return of the Kingmaker. Meanwhile, I watched the world unravel from a rooftop bar in Marrakesh, where the last man to cross Cinder fell 7 stories by accident. Or so the papers said. Maya had gone silent. Vanessa vanished off the grid. And in the void, Cass was rising. Now dubbed Veronica Carreau, she was being whispered about in elite circles. An art broker, a crypto visionary, a woman who once burned a Russian oligarch's entire yacht fleet for insulting her accent. But something didn't sit right. Because as clever as Cass was, she was becoming too powerful, too fast, and that meant only one thing. She wasn't the end game. She was a pawn. Chapter 5. The Hunter Returns. 3 weeks later, I found a photo in my safe house. No note, no signature, just a picture of my daughter, Lily, taken as she exited a Paris bookstore. The back read, "Come see me, darling, before she decides you're next." See, it wasn't Cass. It was Cinder. I flew to Vienna. Cinder met me in the catacombs beneath a ruined opera house. She wore gloves, pearls, and a pistol strapped to her thigh like it was fashion. You want the truth? She asked. Cass thinks she's free, but she's still mine. And if you don't stop her, she leaned closer, you'll all burn in the empire she's building. Chapter 6. The final player back in Rome, Cass sat on her balcony overlooking the Tiber, sipping something dark and expensive. Her phone buzzed. An encrypted message appeared. The architect knows. Move faster. Your shadow is here. She stared at the message for a long time. Then, to no one in particular, she whispered, "So, the ghost is coming for me. Let's dance then. My name is Cass, and I'm not sure who that is anymore. I dream of the fire sometimes, the one I set the night I walked away from prison, and the name Caslin Vinter. That woman was weak. She fell in love. She cried in court. She begged. A man who traded her for sweat-soaked biceps and gym selfies to remember the vows he recited with a shaking hand. That woman died, or so I thought. But sometimes, she whispers, especially when I look in the mirror and see what I've become. Entry 2. Cinder calls it the Triad Protocol. 3 stages, 3 cities, 3 men. Each represents a pillar of the old world. Elias, the king of deception. Laurent Chevalier, the banker of blood. And someone she won't name yet. Someone she says I'll recognize when I see him. I play my part. I seduce. I manipulate. I threaten. I win. But at night, when the adrenaline fades, and I lie alone in silk, sheets in foreign cities, I wonder, what happens when the war ends and the only enemy left is me? Entry 4, missing entry 3, redacted. Tonight I met the ghost. He followed me in Venice, shadowed me through the basilica. Didn't speak, didn't show his face. But when I returned to my suite, there was a note tucked into my champagne. You loved once. That was your first sin. You lied after. That was your second. What's your third, Cass? I burned the note, but my hands trembled. No one should know about the third sin. No one should know about what I did to Maya. Entry 5. I saw my ex-husband again, Elias. Now a shadow of himself, but still sharp in the eyes. I spared him, not out of mercy, but out of strategy. Cinder didn't approve. You're letting the past speak too loudly, she warned. You're starting to forget which one of us is the architect. She's right. But something in me, something small and stupid and aching, wanted him to see what I became, to know that I was never his victim. Entry 6. I saw a photo of Lily. She's grown, book in hand, smile half her mother's. She doesn't know it, but I've been funding her education under an alias. Cinder says it's a liability, a weakness, a remnant of Caslin. I disagree. It's the only thing that keeps me tethered to humanity, to meaning. But when this is over, when the third man falls and Cinder crowns me queen of whatever world rises from the rubble, I will walk away. I'll find Lily, and I'll tell her everything, even the sins. Entry 7. I think Cinder is lying. The third man? I think it's him, the narrator, the man who watched me unravel and never stopped digging. He knows things he shouldn't. He was always there, in court, in the aftermath, in the firelight. Why? Cinder says he's irrelevant, but she's wrong. He's the real endgame. Not because he's powerful, but because he's the only one who ever truly saw me and didn't flinch. Entry 8, final, unsent. If you're reading this, then I've either disappeared or made the fatal mistake of trusting Cinder too long. Either way, this is my truth. I cheated because I was dying inside. I demanded half because I thought it would fill the void. I wanted to hurt him the way he hurt me, by forgetting I ever mattered. But revenge doesn't cure the ache. Power doesn't replace warmth. And survival? Sometimes it's the cruelest fate of all. If I vanish, remember me not as the queen who broke men, but as the woman who refused to die small. He waited at the edge of the old airfield outside Palermo, where the sea wind roared and the air smelled of rust, jet fuel, and endings. Laurent Chevalier, the banker of blood, had fallen. His empire collapsed by a whisper Cass left in the right. Elias, her ex-husband, had disappeared, rumored to have left a voice note for Lily and vanished into the Balkans. And now, the third man. He didn't go by a name, just a number, 47. The file Cinder gave Cass was thin, too thin, just a photo, a medical record, and one word scribbled in Cinder's hand: unforgiven. Chapter 2. A familiar voice. She found 47 in a converted, monastery-turned-private retreat on the Amalfi coast. He didn't run. He was waiting. "Took you long enough?" he said, as he poured 2 glasses of limoncello. Cass froze. That voice, she knew it. It wasn't just familiar. It was personal. "You're him," she whispered. "From the program." Smiled, aged and weathered, but those eyes, steel and sorrow, hadn't changed in 2 decades. "Project Wraith," he said. "You were 16. I was your recruiter and your handler. You begged me to get you out." She did. But he didn't. Chapter 3. The Third Sin. There was no file on Castlin's early life for a reason. Cinder. Thought it was erased by state firewalls. But the truth? It was buried by design. Cass had once been a child prodigy for a covert program that groomed orphans into assets. The third sin, the one no one knew, wasn't about cheating or betrayal. It was what she did to escape, to burn the program to the ground. She killed 4 people in cold blood, all handlers, all architects, all except one. And now he stood before her, smiling like he'd been waiting for this day since the ash settled. "Why now?" she asked. "Because, Cass," he said, sipping his drink, "Cinder didn't save you. I did." Chapter 4. Truth has a price. Seven handed her a small box. No locks, no tricks, just a velvet casing and an old drive. Everything Cinder has built is on that drive. All her operations, every blackmail file, every kill order. You're not her successor. You're her insurance policy. She's planning to sell you out to Interpol the second the triad falls. Cass stared at the drive. "Why give this to me?" "Because I want Cinder dead. And because I remember the girl who cried the night before her first job. She doesn't deserve to die a villain." Chapter 5. The switch that night, Cass stood on the rooftop of her Lisbon safe house and opened the drive. What she found wasn't just leverage, it was a labyrinth. Accounts, targets, traitors, even the name of the ghost who'd been following her. Her ex-husband, Elias, now working with Cinder's enemies to bring the whole house of cards down. Suddenly, everything sharpened. Elias hadn't disappeared. He was the end game. "Well played," Cass whispered to the wind. She sent a message to Elias. "One last meet. Just us. You deserve the truth. I'll bring mine if you bring yours." Location. The old winery where they first said, "I do." Chapter 6. The vineyard. Of secrets? It was dusk when he arrived. Older, leaner, eyes like he hadn't slept since betrayal became their shared language. "You look the same," he said. "Liar," Cass replied softly. "I burned that woman to the ground." They sat, across from one another. She poured wine. He didn't drink it. "Why now?" he asked. "Because I want to end it clean." She slid a small envelope across the table. Inside, the drive, her journal, her confession. "You can destroy me with this," she said, "or disappear with it and let me vanish. Either way, this is where our war ends." Silence. Then, Elias said, "I read the journal." He looked at her not with hatred, but with something far more dangerous: regret. The third sin wasn't yours, he said. It was mine. I left you to rot when you needed someone to believe you could be more. Cass's hand trembled. What now? She asked. Elias took the drive, stood up, and said, Now I disappear. But before I do, you need to know. Cinder isn't your final threat. She's already dead. Cass froze. What? He tossed a folded photo onto the table. There she was, Cinder, lying in a pool of blood beside a phone still recording. Next to her, a name written in blood. One word. Lily. Cass stared at the photo. Cinder. Dead. A blade through her throat. The phone in her hand still recording when Elias took the picture. And beside her, scrawled in Cinder's blood, a name neither of them had spoken aloud in years. Lily. You think she killed her? Cass asked. Elias shook his head. No. I think Cinder knew who was coming, and she wanted us to know. Cass leaned back against the old wine barrel. Lily's 16. So were you, he reminded her quietly. Chapter 2. The letters. 3 hours later, Cass found herself in a Madrid hotel room with the drive Elias gave back to her. She cracked into the Lily file. There weren't surveillance photos. Not files. Not voice clips. Just letters. From Cass. Dozens of them. Some dated back to Lily's 5th birthday. Others were full of regret, longing, and guilt. Written but never sent. But they weren't from the Cass of now. They were typed on an old Olympia SM9, the one she lost after the fire. Who the hell gave you these? She whispered to the empty room. One of the letters was different. Not typed. Handwritten. In ink. Mom, I read everything. I know why you left. I know what they did to you. I forgive you. But you should know. They came for me. I didn't run. I made them bleed. L. Chapter 3. The Canary Protocol Cass's phone buzzed. An encrypted ping from an old channel she hadn't used since the Chevalier debacle. The Canary Protocol had been triggered. A fail-safe alert. It meant one thing. Someone was impersonating her. Again. She accessed the file and saw a new bank account. In her name. Millions transferred. A contract signed to purchase a private jet. Destination. Macau. The sender ID of the transfer? El Vinter. But the face ID wasn't hers. It was Lily's. Cass bolted up, fingers shaking. She's using my name! No, Elias said, stepping from the shadows of the doorway, pale. She's using your identity because she inherited your clearance level. Lily has access to Wraith. Chapter 4. The Black Orchid Macau. Nightfall. A storm swept through the harbor like an omen. Lightning painted the skyline in jagged white scars. Cass moved through the penthouse quietly. The jet hadn't landed yet. She wasn't here for a fight. She was here for answers, but what she found wasn't a trap. It was a memorial. Photos of Cass, young Cass, training days, Wraith files. Her first kill, scrawled beneath them in red Sharpie. They took my mother from me. Now I will take everything from them. There was a sound behind her. She turned slowly. Lily, dressed in black, calm, eyes like Cass's, but colder, sharper. You shouldn't have come, Lily said softly. You're just in time to watch the world end. Chapter 5. A daughter's war Cass took one step forward. Lily, I'm sorry. Too late. You don't know what you're doing. I know exactly what I'm doing, Lily replied. Pulled out a small black key, the kind used to unlock biometric kill switches. This world built by men like Chevalier, Elias, even Cinder, it fed off the pain of girls like you. But I'm not a victim. I'm the reckoning. A silent tear slid down Cass's cheek. You're my daughter. And you're the woman who taught me how to lie, Lily whispered. She inserted the key into a hidden wall panel. The lights shifted. A countdown appeared. 13 Jiu, 12:59, 12:58. What are you doing? Activating the Orchid protocol. Cass froze. Orchid wasn't just a bomb. It was digital extinction. A data wipe across 6 global intel servers, toppling every secret Wraith, Cinder, and the Black network ever. Buried, and it was irreversible. Unless... Chapter 6. The Final Choice. Cass reached into her pocket slowly, pulling out her old Omega locket. Inside, a final override chip. Lily, if you do this, they will come for you. The real monsters. The ones even Cinder feared. Let them come, she whispered. I'm not you. You don't have to be. Cass stepped forward, offering the locket. Orchid doesn't fix the past, but we can burn the future together. For the first time, Lily hesitated. Her fingers hovered over the switch. Did you ever love me? She asked. Cass didn't flinch. From the second I knew you existed, even when I couldn't be there. I loved you more than I loved my own life. Lily turned away. Silence. Then she removed the key. The countdown stopped at Daito Wow 1 epilogue. The garden reclaims 3 months. Later, Lisbon. Rain falling in slow sheets. Cass and Lily walked through the park, 2 ghosts in human skin. Elias had disappeared again. 47 was dead, found with a smile on his face and a note that read, "She chose mercy." The world didn't fall, but something in it shifted. Lily had vanished from the grid. No more fake accounts, no more vendettas. She was building something. New Cass. She didn't know yet. Maybe that was the point. But as they sat beneath the old sycamore tree, Cass whispered one final thing. You know, I was terrified you'd grow up to be me. Lily smiled. And I was terrified I wouldn't. There's a place in the Swiss Alps they don't put on maps. Not because it's secret, because it's forgotten. Carved into the side of an ancient glacier, hidden behind biometric illusions and a false mineral company, is a vault built of reinforced calcium, a bone vault, constructed from the remains of enemies and friends alike. It was there Cass and Lily found themselves 6 months after Orchid nearly ended the world. Not because they wanted to be, because they were summoned. You're sure the message came from Wraith Prime? Lily asked, brushing snow off her hood. There is no Wraith Prime anymore, Cass replied. Then who's calling us? Whoever built the program before even I was recruited. Chapter 2. Etta Marrow. They found her in the vault's central sanctum. Etta Marrow, frail, but radiating menace. A woman who once blackmailed MI6 into funding Wraith. The first director, Cass's predecessor, and Cass's mother. Took you long enough, Etta rasped, her voice like cracked parchment. Though I expected only one of you. Lily's eyes narrowed. What is this? Some twisted family reunion? Etta smiled, revealing steel teeth. Not twisted, strategic. The bloodline is the key. Cass was our alpha. But you, Lily, you're the Omega, the last carrier of the origin sequence. Cass stiffened. You used me to engineer a child? You volunteered, Etta said coldly. You just didn't remember. Cass staggered. Etta turned to Lily. Orchid was a distraction. The real weapon is still locked, and you're the only one who can open it. Chapter 3. The Origin Sequence. The Origin Sequence. A genetic cipher coded into Cass's DNA, passed to Lily unknowingly. The key to a master vault beneath Reykjavik, housing files on Project Harrow, the world's first human cloning experiments, and records of political figures who had been replaced, including a disturbing note in the Yabine's file index, AW, Active. Confirmed imposter. You're saying the president is a clone? Cass hissed. No, Etta said with a grin. I'm saying she's the original, and the one who ran against her was the clone. This isn't espionage, Lily muttered. This is goddamn biblical. Etta slid a vial across the table. Inside, a flickering blue liquid. You drink this, Lily, and you'll remember every moment you were ever observed, monitored, manipulated. And if I don't, the vault dies with me, and so do you. Chapter 4. The Second Betrayal. They waited in the bone vault. Midnight. No wind, no sound, just ice shifting in the distance like a sleeping beast. Lily held the vial in her hand. Her breath fogged the air. You knew about this? She asked. Cass. No, Cass said. I swear to you. You lied about other things before. Silence. Then Lily drank it, and everything changed. She collapsed, screaming. Visions flooded her mind. Labs, false childhoods, memories that never happened, but felt so real. She wasn't born. She was manufactured. Cass reached for her, but Etta stepped in the way. You were never her mother, Etta hissed. No, Cass said, but I chose her. You manufactured her. I raised her with guilt. You raised her as a contingency. Lily rose, her eyes glowing faint blue. I remember everything now, she whispered, and then she pulled a gun from her coat. And I know who needs to die first. Chapter 5. The Vault. Burns 3 gunshots. Etta slumped against the wall, blood blooming across her white coat like a spreading orchid. You just killed the last person who knew how to control what's in the Reykjavik vault, Cass said. No, Lily said. I am the control mechanism now. Sirens began to blare. The bone vault was collapsing. Fail-safes triggered. They ran. As they burst through the ice tunnel, the entire mountain began to cave behind them. Snow swallowed bone. Fire met frost. History disappeared in seconds, and all that remained was a mother and daughter, side by side, walking away from the past. Epilogue. The vault in the sea weeks later. A black submarine drifted beneath the Greenland ice shelf. Inside, a new terminal, a new vault, no name, just a number. 18. Inside that vault, one file blinked on the screen. Project, Vinter, Cassandra's daughter, and beneath it, a message waiting to be opened. We are watching. The child is not. The end. She was just the beginning. Cass and Lily stood at the precipice of a new world. Beneath the frigid waters of Greenland, a system was awakening. A dark, buried intelligence rising like an ancient monster from the deep. But neither mother nor daughter were looking at they were looking at the glowing screen, where an encrypted message blinked, its harsh font unmistakable. R has opened the eye. Begin final phase. Time to forget. Lily leaned in, the words burning through her consciousness like acid. Who is R? She murmured, almost to herself. Cass didn't answer. She couldn't. The weight of the question was suffocating. We don't know yet, Cass said quietly, but we will. Chapter 2. The assassins' code days passed. They barely slept. The world had no mercy on them. Lily had been haunted by visions, memories that weren't hers. The images from the vial she'd ingested had begun to change her. It was like being reprogrammed. Every waking moment, a new part of her past, or future, slipped into her mind. But something was missing. The memories weren't coherent. They were fractured. I don't even know who I am anymore, Lily confessed, her voice raw as they sat in their makeshift base in Madrid. Cass looked at her daughter, the one she thought she knew, but now there was doubt. You're Lily, Cass whispered. But even as she said it, the truth was slipping through her fingers like water. The Cassandra directive. The name gnawed at her. It wasn't just a plan. It wasn't just a strategy. It was a code, a blueprint for manipulation. The more Cass uncovered about her past, the more it became clear. She wasn't the first to be chosen. Chapter 3. The echoes of the past Cass's search led them to a small library in the back streets of Vienna, the air thick with dust and forgotten memories. Inside, buried in a collection of old papers, they found the first file, Project Winter. Cass traced the letter on the cover. For Cassandra. The blueprint is set. The child's birth is the final key to Project Wraith's purpose. Do not fear. This will fix everything. Archie shut the file with a snap. Project Winter? Lily echoed. Who the hell is R? Cass leaned in, eyes steely with resolve. I don't know yet, but we're going to find out. Chapter 4. The I-months passed. They followed the trail, finding new files, encrypted data, strange symbols on walls, old cameras left behind, and finally, the eye. The symbol etched onto every document they encountered. The Eye of Arit wasn't just a metaphor. It was a literal device, hidden under a remote villa on the shores of the Black Sea, surrounded by nothing but endless fog and the echoing crash of waves against the cliffs. Lily stared at the villa. Her fingers twitched, ready for the fight that was coming. R has been here. I can feel it, she said softly. Cass nodded. He's waiting. As they descended into the villa's underbelly, they found the eye. It was massive, an orb of pure white light, suspended in midair, surrounded by screens and monitors, and it was alive. The eye blinked. Then the voice came, low, dark, familiar. You've arrived at last. Chapter 5. The final layer. The voice wasn't just in the room. It was inside their heads, their thoughts, their memories, and then it spoke her name. Cass Winter. Her breath caught in her throat. The voice echoed again, deep and velvety, like liquid gold dripping down her spine. Did you think you could outrun me? You think your memories, your daughter, would be enough to save you from me? Cass dropped. To her knees, the weight of the truth finally crashing down. The I, R, was her father. She had been born from a program designed to create the perfect operative, a weapon built from the remnants of the world's most dangerous minds, twisted and reshaped into one. And now she had become its architect. Lily's hand was on her shoulder, pulling her from the abyss of realization. We don't have to do this, Lily whispered. We can still change it. But Cass was too far gone. She rose, her eyes glowing like the eye itself, and whispered the words that had been buried deep inside her for so long. There is no changing this. We were never meant to. Chapter 6. The Unraveling. The eye blinked again, and the room erupted in light. Cass and Lily were transported into another plane, a digital realm where time itself was malleable, reality was subjective, and R's presence was a palpable force. Welcome, daughter, R purred. You've made it this far, but I know you. I know everything about you. You will see the truth. You will understand why you were made. Lily stood at her mother's side, holding her breath as the digital sky cracked open. We're not your puppets, Lily said fiercely. We're here to end this, all of it. But R only laughed. End it? He mused. No, this is just the beginning. Chapter 7. The final key. Cass and Lily stood together in the storm, the eye pulsating in front of them. R's voice surrounded them, spinning around like a whirlwind, and in the center, a final truth was revealed. They were never meant to be. The end of the story. Cass looked at Lily, understanding dawning. "We were the origin of something else," she said, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. Lily nodded. "The cycle doesn't end with us. It begins with us." Epilogue. The beginning of the ending. The aftermath. The I was gone. R had vanished without a trace. But the world they knew had changed. The code was broken. Wraith no longer held power. It had been replaced, and the question remained, what was Lily's true purpose? As they walked away from the wreckage, Cass and Lily realized something profound. The game wasn't over. It had never been over. "We still have to save them," Lily said, her voice firm. Chapter 8. The Unseen. Hand months passed since the collapse of R's plans, but even in the aftermath, Cass and Lily's world was far from quiet. They had thought they had dismantled the system. They thought the I was destroyed. Yet, every whisper of wind carried with it the uneasy feeling that something was still out there, something unseen. Cass stood at the edge of their temporary hideout, staring out into the cityscape of Lisbon. The city was a patchwork of ancient streets and modern glass towers, each hiding its own set of secrets. The air was thick with tension, and the shadows felt darker now, as if watching their every move. "I don't trust it," Cass muttered, more to herself than to Lily, who had walked up behind her. Lily, now more composed but still raw, placed a hand on her mother's shoulder. "We're not done, are we?" Cass didn't turn around, but she could feel the weight of Lily's gaze. The answer was obvious, but it still hung in the air, a damning truth neither could ignore. "No, we're not done," Cass replied. Chapter 9. The puppet master it had taken weeks of painstaking research, hacking into underground networks and tracking encrypted signals. But finally, Cass had found the link she had been searching for, the one that connected R to something larger. It wasn't over. R had been a puppet, a figurehead. The real mastermind was someone much more elusive, someone whose name had been buried in files for years, a shadow who played the game from behind the scenes. His name? Elias Vermeer. Cass's pulse quickened when she saw the name. It was a name she'd never heard before, yet it felt familiar, like a distant memory just out of reach. "Elias Vermeer," Lily read aloud. "Who is he?" Cass shook her head, slowly, the answer slipping into her mind with a sudden clarity. "He's the architect, the one who designed the program, the one who wanted us all to believe R was the master, but R was just a pawn." Lily's eyes widened. "But why didn't we see this sooner?" "Because he's been hiding in plain sight," Cass said. "Elias Vermeer is someone we know, someone close." The realization hit like a thunderclap, and the truth slammed into them both. Vermeer was not some distant figure. He was connected to them, connected in a way they hadn't expected. Chapter 10. The false dawn. Cass and Lily began their search for Elias Vermeer with a renewed urgency. Every lead they followed brought them deeper into a maze of false identities, fake companies, and carefully constructed lies. But the more they dug, the more it became clear. Elias had been pulling strings from within their own circle all along. And then it hit them. Lily had always been drawn to the story of their family history. The legacy of Cassandra's past, her father's unspoken influence on her life, had always been a shadow over her upbringing. But now, it was the key. "It's my father, isn't it?" Lily murmured in realization. "Elias Vermeer. He's been playing both of us from the start." Cass nodded, her mind racing. Her own father's name had been hidden from her, buried beneath layers of redacted documents and classified data. But now, she could see it clearly. The puppet master was always within reach. "He's been training us for a purpose. A final test. The Endgame. Chapter 11. The confrontation Lisbon's streets felt strangely deserted as night fell, the city lights flickering as if something was about to change. Cass and Lily approached the mansion on the hill, an imposing structure hidden beneath the cover of night. It was an old estate, abandoned by the world, yet still alive with secrets. Elias Vermeer had invited them to meet, and they weren't about to disappoint him. As they stepped inside, the door shut behind them with an ominous click. "Welcome," Elias's voice echoed, smooth and confident. "I see you found your way here." Cass's eyes scanned the room, but there was no one in sight. "Why the games, Elias?" she demanded. "Why manipulate us? Why turn my daughter into your weapon?" A figure stepped from the shadows, a man of imposing stature, wearing a tailored suit that seemed to blend with the darkness around him. "Because you are my masterpiece, Cassandra. Both of you," Elias said with a twisted smile. "I shaped you, molded you. Your potential was always incredible, but I needed to make sure you understood what it means to truly be in control." Lily stepped forward, her voice icy. "And what does that mean? What do you want from us?" Elias chuckled, as if this was all a game to him. I want perfection. And you, both of you, are the perfect instrument. The world is about to change, Cassandra, and Lily, you'll be the one to bring it into the new era." Chapter 12. The final betrayal. Cass had been ready for the confrontation, but she wasn't prepared for the betrayal that came next. With a sudden movement, Elias gestured toward the walls. They shifted, revealing screens that flickered to life. On them, images of Lily's training, her every move, every thought, files upon files detailing her actions, her intentions, even her deepest fears. Lily recoiled, her face pale. "You've been watching me?" Lily whispered, horror in her voice. Elias stepped closer, his presence overwhelming. "Not just watching, controlling. You never had a choice, Lily. You were always meant to be the key." Cass felt her heart shatter as the truth sank in. Lily had never been her own person. She had been shaped, sculpted by the hand of Elias to be his ultimate weapon. "No," Lily whispered, her voice shaking. "No, this isn't who I am." But Elias's grin never wavered. "Oh, but it is. You were born for this.